3 cosmonauts, strapped in their seats, descending from space. Outside the window, Earth growing larger. The parachute blooms open. Perfect deployment. The spacecraft touches down in the Kazakhstan desert exactly on target. Textbook landing. The recovery helicopter spots the capsule. Medics run toward it. They bang on the metal hull. Soyuz 11, do you copy? Nothing. They crack open the hatch. Hot air rushes out. Inside, 3 men sit motionless, eyes open, mouths slightly parted, dark blue spots covering their faces like bruises. One man's arm is extended toward the control panel, fingers inches from a small valve. He never reached it. All 3 are dead. The spacecraft is fine, not a scratch on it. Every system still running, but the men inside stopped breathing 20 minutes ago. The investigation takes less than an hour. One valve, the size of your thumb, had opened during descent. The cabin lost pressure. That's it. 30 seconds without pressure, and 3 trained cosmonauts were unconscious. 90 seconds later, brain death. No oxygen tanks exploded. No meteorite punched through the hull. Just air. Leaving. And the human body can't survive that. Right now, air is crushing you, not harming you, but pressing against every inch of your skin with about 15 pounds of force per square inch. Your entire body experiences thousands of pounds of atmospheric pressure. You don't feel it because the fluids and gases inside your body push back with equal force. You're in balance, a perfect equilibrium. Space has no air, which means no pressure pushing inward. And when that external pressure vanishes, the balance breaks. The first people to learn this weren't astronauts. They were pilots in the 1940s, flying higher and higher into the thin atmosphere. Above 50,000 feet, strange things started happening. Pilots would black out. Some had seizures. A few survived and described feeling their skin inflate and a fizzing sensation under their flesh. What was happening? The dissolved nitrogen in their blood, normally kept stable by atmospheric pressure, was forming bubbles, like opening a shaken soda bottle. The gas came out of solution and expanded in their veins. Doctors called it ebullism, bubble formation in living tissue. The solution was pressure suits and sealed cockpits. Keep the pressure on the body artificially. Simple in theory. But when space programs started putting humans in orbit, they faced a question. What happens when that artificial pressure fails? They were about to find out. You've seen it in movies. Someone gets exposed to space. Their body explodes. They freeze solid instantly. Their eyes pop out. None of that is real. The actual process is quieter, weirder, and in some ways more disturbing because it doesn't match what we expect. Here's what really happens when a human body loses pressure in space. First 10 seconds, you're still awake, conscious. The air in your lungs rushes out, not because space sucks it out, but because the pressure difference is massive. Your lungs are pressurized. Space isn't. The air expands and forces its way out through your mouth and nose. If you tried to hold your breath, like every instinct tells you to do, your lungs would tear from the expanding air. The correct move, counterintuitively, is to breathe out and let it go. 10 to 15 seconds. The moisture on your tongue starts boiling, not from heat, from lack of pressure. Water boils at lower temperatures when pressure drops. At normal body temperature in a vacuum, the saliva on your tongue turns to vapor. You feel it bubbling, fizzing. Your eyes do the same thing. The fluid on your eyeballs begins to vaporize. Your vision goes blurry. Not blind, just unfocused, like looking through foggy glass. 15 to 30 seconds. Your brain runs out of oxygen. Not because your heart stopped. It's still beating, pumping hard, actually. But because there's no oxygen in your blood to deliver. The dissolved gases in your bloodstream start forming bubbles. Nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide. They come out of solution like fizz in a soda. Your skin begins to swell. Gas pockets form under the surface. Your arms and legs stop responding. You lose motor control. Then consciousness fades. 30 to 90 seconds. Your brain is dying. Even if pressure came back right now, the damage is probably permanent. Your heart keeps beating for another minute or so, but it's pumping bubbles, not blood. 2 minutes. Brain death. No coming back. This is what happened inside Soyuz 11. The valve opened, a small equalization valve designed to let air in during the final phase of landing, but it opened early, at high altitude, where the outside pressure was still near zero. The 3 cosmonauts felt the air leave immediately. Commander Georgy Dobrovolsky unbuckled his harness and reached for the valve. It was recessed behind a panel. He needed to unscrew a cover, then close it manually. He almost made it. His hand was found reaching toward it when they opened the capsule. But by the time he got unbuckled and positioned, he'd already been without pressure for 20 seconds. His vision was failing. His thoughts were slowing. He never finished the movement. All 3 men were unconscious within 30 seconds. The spacecraft continued descending on autopilot. Perfect trajectory. Perfect parachute deployment. Perfect landing. When the recovery team opened the hatch, the cosmonauts had been dead for about 20 minutes. Why pressure matters. Think of your body like a bottle of soda. The liquid stays liquid because of pressure. The CO2 stays dissolved because the bottle is sealed and pressurized. Open the cap, release the pressure, and the CO2 comes out. Fuzz, bubbles, foam, your blood is the same. Under normal atmospheric pressure, nitrogen and oxygen stay dissolved in your bloodstream. They're held in place by the weight of the atmosphere pressing down on you. Drop to 0 pressure and those gases come out of solution. They form bubbles in your veins, your tissues, your organs. This is why scuba divers can't surface too quickly. If they rise too fast, the pressure drops rapidly and nitrogen bubbles form in their blood. It's called the bends, extremely painful, sometimes fatal. In space, the same thing happens, but faster and throughout your entire body at once. Your heart keeps pumping, but instead of pushing oxygenated blood to your brain, it's pushing gas bubbles. Your brain suffocates while your heart still beats. There's a real case that proves this. In 1965, a NASA technician named Jim LeBlanc was testing a spacesuit in a vacuum chamber. Something failed. The suit lost pressure. The chamber pressure dropped to near vacuum in seconds. LeBlanc stayed conscious for 14 seconds. He later described it, his saliva bubbling on his tongue, a swelling sensation throughout his body, his vision narrowing to a pinpoint, then blackness. The engineers watching through the window saw him collapse. They slammed the emergency repressurization button. Air flooded back into the chamber within 27 seconds. LeBlanc woke up, confused, bruised, his skin covered in dark spots from burst capillaries, but alive. He survived because pressure came back fast enough. His brain had been without oxygen for less than 30 seconds. Any longer, and he would have suffered permanent brain damage or death. The key lesson: pressure isn't just about comfort. It's a hard survival threshold. Below it, you have seconds, not minutes, seconds. Before June 1971, Soviet cosmonauts didn't wear pressure suits during launch or landing. The logic was simple. The capsule is pressurized. If it fails, you're dead anyway. Why add bulky suits that won't help? Soyuz 11 proved that logic wrong. A suit would have saved them. The cabin lost pressure, but a sealed suit would have maintained it around their bodies. They would have lived. After the disaster, pressure suits became mandatory on all Soviet flights. NASA had already required them after the Apollo 1 fire. But Soyuz 11 made it universal. There was a cost. Pressure suits are bulky. Soyuz capsules are tiny. Barely enough room for 3 people sitting shoulder to shoulder. Adding suits meant dropping to 2 cosmonauts per flight. For 30 years, Soyuz could only carry 2 people because of the suit requirement. It wasn't until the 2000s that Russia developed suits compact enough to fit 3 people again. But the deeper change was in design philosophy. Modern spacecraft have backup pressure systems. If one fails, another takes over. The International Space Station has oxygen generators, nitrogen tanks, pressure regulators, all with redundancies. Lose one system, the backups engage. Lose 2, you might have a problem. But the core vulnerability remains. Pressure is non-negotiable. You can survive weeks without food, days without water, minutes without oxygen, without pressure, seconds. In 2018, something small hit the International Space Station. A micrometeorite, probably smaller than a grain of rice, punched through the hull of a Soyuz capsule docked to the station. The hole it made was 2 millimeters wide, barely visible. But the station started losing pressure. Slowly. It took the crew hours to find the leak. When they did, they patched it with epoxy resin and gauze. Basically, space duct tape. It worked. But if that hole had been 5 millimeters instead of 2, the air would have escaped faster. If it had hit during a spacewalk instead of inside the station, there wouldn't have been time to patch it. Space is full of debris, flecks of paint traveling at 17,000 miles per hour, fragments of old satellites, natural meteoroids. Any one of them could puncture a suit or a hull. Every astronaut doing a spacewalk is one small puncture away from what happened to Soyuz 11. The suit has maybe 15 minutes of reserve oxygen, but if pressure drops to 0, that oxygen doesn't matter. You've got 30 seconds of consciousness, maybe less. The valve still exists. It's in a Russian space museum now, part of the Soyuz 11 wreckage display. It's small, precisely machined. Engineers examined it after the disaster, looking for defects. There were none. The valve worked exactly as designed. It opened when it was supposed to. The failure was in the timing. A mechanical vibration during the separation of modules triggered it early. At the wrong altitude, in the wrong moment. An improbable event that no one had predicted in thousands of hours of testing. Every spacecraft has thousands of valves, seals, hatches. Each one is tested. Each one has backups. But space doesn't require catastrophic failure to kill you. Just one small thing, working normally, activated at the wrong time. The cosmonauts returned to Earth in a perfectly functional spacecraft. No fire, no explosion, no collision. Every system still operating. They just ran out of air pressure. And without pressure, the human body stops working in the time it takes to read this sentence. 15 seconds of consciousness, maybe 30 if you're lucky and prepared, then nothing. Every astronaut who goes to space knows this. They strap in knowing that the invisible force pressing against them right now, the air they never think about, is the only thing keeping them alive up there. Not the oxygen tanks, not the spacecraft hull, the pressure itself. Because you can fix a lot of things in space. You can patch holes. You can ration food and water. You can troubleshoot electrical failures. But you can't fix the absence of pressure, not in time. Not before consciousness fades and everything goes dark.